Hello, potential study abroad students. I'm very excited today to get to share my course with you. This is a trip that goes to England and Scotland, and it's called Great Britain, the Birthplace of Modern Geology. So the focus is geology, but I'm not expecting anyone to be a geologist, coming into this. This is the place on Earth where throughout the late 1700s, all the way up through the 1960s, we learned how to tell the story of our world. So the facts about this course. So this is going to be 3 credit hours this coming spring. The trip is scheduled from May 10th through May 23rd. We are going with an electronic media and broadcasting course that will be making mini documentaries with their professor, John Gibson. So this is our path that we're taking. So we're flying into London, spending a couple days there, and then heading south, doing some fossil hunting, then heading up into Scotland eventually, where we will hike the Highlands and eventually make it to Edinburgh, where we'll be flying out. So those are the basic things there: into London, out of Edinburgh in a 2-week span. And the focus on the Geology 294 is on geology, biology, and of course some history and culture of the United Kingdom, and how the basic ideas that would define geology and biology, like plate tectonics, evolution, the idea of deep time, the idea that the earth is very old, the idea that you can use rocks to tell the history of the earth. That seems pretty basic, but those ideas only were arrived at just within the last 200 or so years by scientists working in England and Scotland in the period 1780s to 1960s. So we're starting out with late 1700s and then getting into Victorian times, which sees the Industrial Revolution as well as the United Kingdom becoming a absolute world powerhouse. And then through the swinging 60s, where plate tectonics really begins to take off due to new technology that's happening in the ocean. So we're going through a pretty long time period, so a lot of fun stuff with history and culture, as well as how these sciences evolved. What kind of things are we doing? Well, first in London, we're spending a whole day at the Museum of Natural History, which is a absolutely stunning museum. Make myself a little smaller here. Right now, there's a big skeleton of a blue whale called Hope that's hanging from it. So very cool. But the building itself was built during the Victorian era, 1840s or so, and is an absolute monument to science. It's stunning. This is also where the first dinosaur material ever discovered is housed. So teeth of iguanodon and a lower jaw of Megalosaurus, the very first dinosaurs named in 1842. So the history of dinosaurs. Also, we'll be heading south to hunt for fossils along the Jurassic coast, where the first ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs were discovered. Another big chapter of Earth history. Here's a plesiosaur and an ichthyosaur. So they were discovered here along the southern coast of England, just like the first dinosaurs discovered in the south of England as well. One of the things I'm most excited about that a lot of people may not, get excited about because they've heard that it's bad, but British food is amazing. So this is some haggis over here in Scotland, and it's delicious, I promise. The best fish and chips you'll ever have, all sorts of fun stuff. Haggis is served with neeps and tatties, which is turnips and potatoes, and of course, plenty of beer if you are of drinking age, which is 18 in England. And once we get into Scotland, we'll be visiting Edinburgh Castle. So Edinburgh Castle is built on an ancient volcano, which was carved out by glaciers. So if you didn't really know that Scotland and England had like this amazing geology, well, there's a lot of wild stuff that has happened there. We'll also travel from one side of Scotland to the other on what's called the Jacobite steam train, which is considered the most beautiful train ride on Earth. And this may look familiar. It was made famous from the Harry Potter films. So lots of culture, lots of castles, lots of food, and of course, finding out the origins of how we learn to tell the story of our world and how the Earth functions and has functioned over a very, very long time, as well as our own history too.